What if Luffy's dream had come true all those years ago when he first met Red Hair Shanks? What if Shanks, moved by Luffy's enthusiasm and determination, had said, "Alright lad, you can join my crew. So, grab your straw hats, hoist the anchor, and let's set sail to the very beginning of One Piece." As we all know, Luffy's burning desire to become a pirate led him to beg Shanks to take him on board, but alas, his plea fell on deaf ears. This rejection only fueled Luffy's determination to create his own crew and set out on a journey to find the legendary One Piece. But what if things had gone differently? What if Shanks had said, "Aye, matey, ye can join us"? We'll dive deep into this alternate reality, exploring the possibilities and imagining the twists and turns that Luffy's life could have taken. Let's uncover, what if Luffy had joined Shanks' crew from the very beginning? Have you ever wondered why the legendary red-haired Shanks refused to let Monkey D. Luffy join his crew, even though the little rascal was clearly destined for great things? At first glance, Shanks' reasons seem pretty straightforward. After all, Luffy couldn't swim, he was just a kid, and a pirate's life is fraught with danger. He also wanted Luffy to have his own adventures and dreams rather than following him. Shanks told Luffy that he could return the straw hat to him when he became a great pirate. But here's the thing, no one's buying any of those excuses. Shanks himself was just a baby when the pirate king Goldie Roger found him. If Shanks survived the perilous life of a pirate from infancy, Luffy definitely could too. And sure, Luffy can't swim, but neither can many devil fruit users. Besides, Shanks' whole crew seemed eager to welcome Luffy aboard. So what's the real reason Shanks turned Luffy away? One idea is that Shanks was headed to a secret place that required swimming, so no non-swimmers allowed. Another possibility is that Shanks wanted Luffy to prove himself without relying on a Yonko's power. But here's one personal theory. Shanks saw Luffy as the future pirate king from the start. By giving Luffy the Gum Gum fruit, Shanks took on the job of guiding and protecting him until he was ready to fulfill his destiny. Can one imagine how thrilled Luffy would be to finally become the cabin boy of the Red Hair Pirates? Now to what would have happened if Shanks agreed to let Luffy join him. A young Luffy eagerly follows Shanks onto his pirate ship after Shanks saved him from the Sea King. Wowed by Shanks' strength, recklessness, and free spirit, Luffy decides he wants to sail the seas as a member of the Red Hair Pirates instead of forming his own crew. If Luffy had joined up with Shanks, the story would change in some major ways. The incident where Shanks loses his arm doesn't happen, as Luffy avoids the clutches of the kidnappers. Shanks keeps both arms intact and remains as strong as the renowned Dracula Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman. Talk about an unbeatable duo. Without almost getting eaten by that fierce sea monster, Luffy never crosses paths with his adopted brothers Ace and Sabo. Hard to believe, right? Oda himself confirmed that Garp only introduced Luffy to the mountain bandit Dadan after Shanks had left. Makes you think, maybe Shanks had a hunch about Luffy's destiny? So here's the crazy thing. If Luffy sails off with Shanks and the Red Hair Pirates, he never meets up with Ace and Sabo in the woods as kids, which means the whole story of their childhood bond and vow of brotherhood never happens. All those adventures they had dreaming of becoming pirates together, exploring that secret island cave, calling themselves the D Initial Gang, none of it would have ever taken place. So when Ace sets off to sea and forms the Spade Pirates and later joins Whitebeard's crew, Luffy wouldn't even know about it. What a twist, right? And things get even juicier. Remember how Luffy went through hell to rescue Ace from Impel Down in Marineford? Well, if Luffy never meets Ace as a kid, he'd have no reason to charge into that crazy war of the best and try saving his brother. So Ace would likely still die at Marineford, and Luffy would never experience the pivotal moment of near death, rebirth, and growth into the man he is today. Crazy to think one chance meeting with that sea monster totally altered Luffy's life story. Makes you wonder, was it all fate? Did Shanks already sense Luffy's destiny, which is why he let him tag along in the first place? Now let's sail into the changed fates of Nami, Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Chopper, Robin, and Brook. Without Luffy's magnetic pull, their destinies take dramatic turns that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Man, can you imagine our boy Zoro's fate without Luffy? It's downright tragic. Tied up in the open, exposed to the elements and left to starve, Zoro's strength slowly fades. His dream, once so close he could taste it, withers away as blood loss and malnutrition take their toll. Each day, the swordsman grows weaker, his resolve dimming as hope slips through grasping fingers. I can picture him staring at those moss-covered blades, once sources of pride, now bitter reminders of a dream stretching further beyond reach. Without Luffy's crazy ambition pulling him along, our moss-head swordsman never gets that chance. And One Piece loses a legendary warrior destined to push the boundaries of what a swordsman can achieve. Man, Sanji's fate would be rough without Luffy, huh? The dude deserves so much better. Sanji stays at the Barati under Zeph's wing, sharpening his cooking skills and swooning the ladies as usual. But without Luffy's crazy adventures as a catalyst, Sanji slowly loses that spark that drives him. Stuck in familiar routines and surrounded by squabbling cooks and uptight customers, Sanji's dreams of finding the All Blue begin to fade. And without Luffy's influence, he may eventually cave to his damned family's wishes. I can picture it clearly. Sanji marching down the aisle towards a bride that he doesn't love, the light in his eyes dimmed, his passion for all blue cooking snuffed out by duty and obligation. And we know how that Big Mom wedding would end for Sanji. Our kind-hearted, chivalrous swooner deserves better than that grim fate. Sanji's gentle heart and passion for culinary delights deserve a chance to shine in the pursuit of his dream. Imagine a world where Nami never escapes from the clutches of Arlong and his fishmen pirates. A world where she has to endure endless abuse, humiliation, and pain at the hands of her tyrannical captors. A world where she has to watch her beloved village suffer and her friends die under Arlong's iron fist. A world where she has no hope of ever being free, no dream of ever sailing the seas, and no one to ever stand up for her. That's the world Nami lives in without Luffy. And what about Chopper, the adorable reindeer doctor who stole our hearts with his kindness and courage? What would happen to him without Luffy? Well, that depends on a lot of factors. Factors like whether Shanks and his crew ever visit Drum Island, whether they ever meet Dr. Kureha and Hiruluk, whether they ever learn about Chopper's tragic past and his miraculous transformation, whether they even offer him a place on their ship and a chance to see the world. There are so many possibilities, but none of them are certain. Chopper's fate is a mystery, and we can only hope that he finds happiness somehow. And then there's Robin, the archaeologist with a bounty on her head and a secret in her mind. The woman who knows the truth about the Void Century and the ancient weapons. The woman who is hunted by the world government and betrayed by her allies. The woman who has nowhere to go and no one to trust. Without Luffy, Robin's story could go two ways. She could be captured by CP9 and executed on the spot, or she could be sent to Impel Down to rot. But there's a third option. She could be saved by Ivankov, the revolutionary leader who owes a favor to Dragon. Dragon, who happens to be Luffy's father and Robin's benefactor. In this scenario, Robin would join forces with Jinbei, the fisherman warrior who also opposes the world government. Together, they would fight for a better world, a world where people like them are not persecuted or oppressed. And then there's Brook, the skeleton musician with a soul of gold and the voice of an angel. The man who lost his crew and his dream to a terrible curse. The man who spent decades alone on a ghost ship, surrounded by death and despair. The man who never gave up hope of finding his friend Laboon, the whale who waited for him at Reverse Mountain. Without Luffy, Brook would never meet anyone who could help him break free from his nightmare. He would never find anyone who could appreciate his music and his humor. He would never find anyone who could accept him for who he is and love him for it. He would never find anyone who could fulfill his promise to Laboon and reunite them after so long. He would be alone forever in a world of darkness and silence. Without Luffy's involvement, Frankie's story takes a dark turn. He's captured by the world government because he knows all about the Pluton blueprints. If things had gone the world government's way, they would have gotten the information they needed and executed Frankie afterwards to keep him quiet. Frankie never gets to build his dream ship, the Thousand Sunny. His skills as a shipwright are wasted in the hands of a corrupt government. He never gets to see his mentor Tom again or reunite with his long-lost brother Iceberg. In a world without Luffy, Usopp's journey follows a tragic course. He's in over his head when he tries to stop the villainous pirate Kuro's evil antics in his village. He discovers that Kuro had been manipulating his friend for years in hopes of eventually killing her and stealing her money. He is nearly killed by Kuro's crew when his initial plan to stop them fails, but Luffy and Zoro arrive on the scene to help. There's no doubt that he would have ended up dead if Luffy, Zoro, and Nami hadn't arrived in Syrup Village. Usopp never gets to explore the world or fulfill his dream of becoming a brave warrior of the sea. He never gets to meet his father, Yasopp. The fates of these extraordinary individuals, inspired and recruited by Luffy, demonstrate the pivotal role he played in helping them achieve their dreams. With Luffy on Shanks' ship, the world never experiences the legendary Straw Hat Pirates, and their indomitable spirit remains untapped. Moreover, Luffy never receives the iconic straw hat from his revered role model. Instead, under Shanks' guidance, he grows into a remarkable crew member. With time, a maturing Luffy becomes an integral part of the crew, evolving into a stronger, wiser, and more confident pirate under Shanks' mentorship. Yet, without Luffy's unbridled ambition and recklessness, the Red Hair Pirates navigate the Grand Line with fewer tumultuous voyages, dodging catastrophic obstacles and epic battles that Luffy would have ignited. Shanks and his loyal crew revel in their beer-fueled parties, never having to confront the menacing threats posed by Whitebeard, Big Mom, or Kaido. As the years go by, Luffy develops into a skilled pirate, content to sail under Shanks' protective wings rather than forging his own path. Freed from the burdens of captaincy, he indulges in carefree escapades, never facing the crucible of hardships that mold him into the inspiring leader we know him to be.